All right. I'm going to try for a full tangent instead of a half tangent on this one. So, this is what I could come up with. So, I'm Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And today is Tuesday, 7 January 2025, and my tangent is my rural Midwest and New York City analogy as of Tuesday, 7 January 2025. I thought this one was pretty good. All right. So I've been, so for this tangent, I, Tanis Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through my rural Midwest and New York City analogy. Exploring New York City on foot would help me in further assessing my analogy. So, what the heck do I mean? What thing in the rural Midwest, United States of America, is analogous to the thing of New York City? So, I'm going up my family tree. So this is a little bit about my family, but it's also a tangent. Going up my family tree, both sides have come to the west coast of the United States of America via the Midwest. And so growing up, we went to the Midwest a couple of times. And we, on at least one of those occasions, got to sit in the car, and there's some farmers still in the family, or at least at that point in time there were still farmers in the family, and so we got to go on car rides and see some of the places that mattered to my grandparents and the family, and my family when they were living back there, and some of them were still living there, so we got to hear stories, and there was a fair amount of driving. And so the Midwest is kind of known for low rolling hills. There's no mountains. There might not be a whole lot of rivers either. There's a remarkable lack of geological exposures in terms of at least mountains and stuff like that. So instead, driving along, it's miles and miles of low rolling hills, where it's the elevation gain and loss is 10 feet over 50 miles. But they're low rolling hills, so it's kind of a repeating structure, so to speak. So that rural Midwest feature, I believe, taken from my real experience. I have been to New York City JFK International Airport once or twice. Once on my own, and I might have been through there with family at some point in time. But on my own, I have been to JFK in New York City, that airport. However, I've not explored New York City on foot. So this is one where it's an analogy at the guess level that I could assess my analogy if I were to explore New York City on foot. And my guess, my analogy, the thing that I think may be analogous to those low rolling hills, is buildings. Because I hear that New York City stretches on and on and on, and I've been over on Yelp trying to find places that I might want to go, and bookmarking them and saving to a public collection. So if you've already seen that, you kind of know. May know, you remember. Ooh. And pairing that with kind of what I've heard about the city in terms of it's kind of it's buildings for miles. So essentially it's like the low rolling hills, right? There's big buildings, vertical buildings, and you just keep walking and there's more and more buildings, just kind of there's more and more low rolling hills along the road as one drives. That's it. Low rolling hills along the avenue of transport, so say a highway in the Midwest, is analogous to sidewalk walking past the vertical buildings of New York City. And who knows, depending on the urban landscaping, there might even be some structural repeating patterns amongst those tall buildings. Are there areas with skyscrapers that are a little bit taller, or some other architectural feature that kind of repeats? Or is there certain architects that space it out, so then in that sense there's a repeating structure that way? Do the crosswalks change? So that kind of stuff, but then it repeats. So you can think of it, it's a bunch of the same, but it's not. It's a changing structure that gets repeated. So, or is it like, or is there a bunch of one type of cuisine in this area, and then in another area there's a bunch of a different type of cuisine, thinking of restaurants, right? So that's a repeating structure. Food, change in food, but there's still a pocket of certain foods. Right. So there we go. That was what I came up with for a full tangent. My rural Midwest and New York City analogy as of Tuesday, 7 January 2025.